time for today's edition of Devotions with Brother Aaron. You are faithful to be in your place of listening. I'm faithful to be in my place of recording. So let's hit it and get it. Today's devotion is on this thought: discovering the way forward, repurposing. I stated in a sermon that almost everybody is facing a situation in life that is causing them to struggle to find a way forward. Sometimes the only way to discover the way forward is by examining the past. When we examine our past, we sometimes discover that the way God chose to move us forward in our situation, as painful as it was to repurpose us. In other words, He didn't change our situation, He changed us. And whatever that change involved, it was a watershed moment. We knew that life would go on. However, we also knew that it would never be the same. Again, often the way forward requires our repurposing. It is to that end that I want you to hear the following story. In his book, Rediscovering Discipleship, Bobby Gallaty shares a story that Steve Murrell tells in his book, WikiChurch. I think you'll enjoy it. Be sure to listen to the end and wait on it. A 10-year-old judo student was seriously injured in a car accident. The student's arm was so badly injured that the doctors were left with no choice but to amputate it. Everyone thought his judo career was over. Yet, despite the handicap, he persevered and continued his training. His teacher, aware of a plan the boy didn't yet understand, taught him one move and one move only. The boy petitioned his teacher every day to teach him more than one technique, but the teacher would not budge. Every day of every week of every month was spent perfecting this one move. The boy entered his first tournament after the injury, and against all odds advanced to the finals. His opponent in the finals was more seasoned, faster, stronger, and, as was immediately apparent, in possession of all his limbs. The match was a stalemate until the seasoned competitor lost focus for a moment. The one-armed boy performed the only major move he knew, and his opponent could do nothing to counter it. To everyone's surprise, the one-armed boy was crowned champion. According to Murrell, the one-armed boy won the match for two simple reasons. First of all, he has mastered one of the most difficult moves in all of judo. Secondly, the only defense against that move is to grab your opponent's left arm. Although I cannot confirm if this story is true, it still communicates a principle we all must learn. Simplify. Learn to keep the main thing the main thing. When we do this and stop majoring on minors, we become far more effective in our ministry efforts. In essence, the life of the 10-year-old one-armed boy was repurposed. Hey, life ain't always fair. Sometimes it deals us some tough blows. It throws us for a loop. It forever changes our normal and forces us to develop a new normal. The boy was forced to simplify. He had to learn to do what he could do with what he had instead of focusing on what he couldn't do because of what he didn't have. He also learned that sometimes a handicap can be the very thing that ensures victory. His left arm had been removed. Consequently, the boy was repurposed. Yes, it was painful. Yes, it was frustrating. And no, it wasn't something he would have chosen to have happen to him. But because of it, when he executed the move he had perfected, his opponent couldn't defend against it. Therefore, his handicap brought him victory in a tournament that most likely he would not have won had his life circumstances not repurposed him. Wow. Sometimes the way forward in life requires us to repurpose. What a lesson for us to learn. Remember, Romans 8:28 is still in the book. It says, "And we know that all things work together for good to them who love the Lord and are called according to his purpose." How many things work together? All things. First three words of Romans 8:28. And we know. It's not a hope so, could be, think so, maybe so. It's a guaranteed fact that if we love the Lord and are doing all we can do to serve him, then everything that happens in our life may not be good, but it will work together for our good. Let me restate what I said a little earlier. The one-armed boy performed the only major move he knew, and his opponent could do nothing to counter it, because the counter to it required him to grab the boy's left arm, which he did not have. He had been repurposed. Oh Lord, would you please remind us that discovering our way forward may be accomplished through you repurposing us. When that moment occurs, please give us immeasurable grace when we find ourselves in your workshop being repurposed. Help us to surrender all of us to all of you. And I ask this in your precious name. Amen and amen.